Everybody, today we're going to work on making a silhouette, and this is my grandson Brennan, and he's the baseball field. Several of you have probably already seen this photo, but we're going to turn it into a silhouette today. I'm also going to include in the description a link to a video that I really like about a gentleman that does silhouettes traveling all over the United States. Even today, this goes on. They're beautiful. You can really create some great artwork, and I'm going to show you the technique in Photoshop that's certainly a lot easier than what this gentleman does with a pair of scissors and such. So the silhouette dates way back to the early days of photography. Obviously you had the masters and others that were painting portraits of people, and those were for rich people. The middle class even couldn't afford paintings of themselves, and so a little later on, when photography was just on the cusp, somebody saw a shadow being cast by a bright light, similar to the process of putting a candle near somebody's face and painting the shadow on paper on the opposite side. Silhouettes have been popular for hundreds of years, and people still decorate with silhouettes. So here we go with an easier version. I've looked at several on the internet videos on this, and the ones I've seen leave with the final project or the final object having some very rough edges, and that just defeats the whole purpose of a silhouette, in my opinion. So let's just grab the quick selection tool, and I will provide a link to this photograph, so if you'd like to follow along with it. But I do encourage you to find an image of your own to turn into a silhouette. So quick selection tool, let's get a nice size brush. I'm just hitting the right bracket key to make my brush a little bit smaller, or larger, I'm sorry. Left bracket makes the brush a little smaller. So right brush, and I'm just dragging it down, get his hands. The areas that we don't want, let's make the brush smaller again with the left bracket key, and this time let's get rid of this end here by holding down the Alt key, Option key on a Macintosh, and so we get rid of that. Let's get some of this, a little bit of his shirt there. Let's get the little button on his hat. Again, we got too much at the top, so hold down the Alt key or the Option key on a Mac and just make it learn what you want. So we're looking pretty good. Now we're going to make it look better. We go up here where it says Refine Edge, click that. Now obviously you see there's some sharp wiggly edges on here. Let's make this a little bit bigger. I'm holding down the Control and Space bar. That'd be Command Space bar and click, and you can see the background that came along with the image, and we want to get rid of that and smooth it a little bit. So what I recommend doing is, first of all, now this isn't what you would normally do to refine an edge, but to make a silhouette, this is going to work best. Go down here to where it says Shift Edge and watch the edge. When we go to left, shrinks it. If we go to the right, it expands the area. So let's drag it in, and you see what's taking place in the image. Now we want to smooth it just a little bitty bit. So click on Smooth. See how that just smoothed out those edges. We can go a little bit more. You just don't want to go too much. Let's look around. The hat looks good. Everything looks pretty good. If you think you went too far, look at edges like this. And just kind of bring that back because we don't want it to be too soft. Whatever you do, don't feather. Feathering causes other issues. Alright, so I'm going to say we're in good shape overall, and we've lost our flower, but don't worry about that. Right down here we want to click on where it says output to, click that, go down to where it says new layer with layer mask, and then click OK. Now if we paint right now, make sure that, see the white bracket around this? We want that white bracket to be around the mask, which is right over here. The black and white is a layer mask. So just click on that, then you see it's highlighted. Now when we paint, we're just painting, sorry about that, and do a Control D. Let's turn on the paintbrush. And a regular paintbrush. Let's go up and change the softness all the way down to the right. That means the brush edges are hard. To the left means it's softening the edges of the brush. So let's go all the way to the right, and if I paint right now, we're basically letting things show through, or hiding, I'm sorry. Let's do a Control-Alt-Z a couple of times here, and let's switch this to white. Now you see, if the black and white's not up, if that's not what you're seeing, press the letter D as in dog. And if black isn't on top and you want it to be, press the letter X. X toggles the colors back and forth. So with white selected, right now what I'm doing is painting back that dandelion that's in there. So we can just, we're basically kind of undoing what we did. I'm getting out of the line, so to speak, but now I can see what to work on. Let's paint that back in so we get an idea. So now we can turn around and press X to turn on black and go around this and make it disappear. And then let's go down. Now we can make it disappear in a straight line if we click once, go down here, hold down the shift key, click, and in a straight line it paints. Same thing on this side, click, go up here, shift click. So let's see about, switch to white again. I really want more of that flower in. Now remember that, yeah, you're seeing green, but all of this is going to turn into is black. This whole thing is going to be black. So the flower itself is not important, or the dandelion. So let's clean it up again, switching back to black by pressing the letter X. I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. We just want a shape that would look like a flower. Alright, now let's see if anywhere else we need to fix things. We can round this off, but we can do that as soon as we make our silhouette. So let's paint here and round this off. Let's hit the right bracket key a couple of times and make the brush a little bigger. We just want to round this off. Because if we've got flyaway hair that's showing, that wants to translate into gray, and gray is not going to work for us. Alright, so we've got the basic shape. Let's do a Control or Command on a Mac minus to zoom out. So there's our basic shape. We don't need all of this down here, but let's go ahead and crop this actually and only get what we want. So click on C or the crop tool and just drag out a selection, and I'm thinking something along these lines here. drag that up. And we can either double click inside the box or hit the enter key and complete that transformation or that crop. Now, if we want to highlight everything here or make a selection out of it, all we have to do is hold down the Control key on a PC, Command key on a Mac, and click right over here on the right side where this black and white mask is. Just click right on it. Notice now we have marching ants. So let's create a new blank layer. So with a new layer created and the marching ants around Bryn, all I need to do is fill that with black. So let's go up to Edit, down to Fill, or you can see the shortcut Shift F5. And if it's on content aware or something else, make sure you switch it to black, click OK, and there is our silhouette. But we can still fine tune it because why? It's on its own layer, right? So I did a Control D to turn that off, and let's go around and we see a couple of issues. That's the little beanie on top, the little bean. We don't need that especially. So let's create a mask on this layer. So click on the little layer mask icon, and again we're going to be painting. So turn on the brush, letter B, and we can just erase, or actually we're not erasing. Let's turn off all the layers below so nothing is showing. So let's kind of top that off, or cut the top off. We're actually not cutting anything off, we're painting. And we got a little bubble here. And we need to kind of smooth this out. So this is where some painting comes in handy. We can smooth all of this out. Now trust me, right now I'm doing the same thing as the majority of you would be doing. I'm using a mouse to do this, but a pen would be really appreciated. We've got a pretty good silhouette there. Our flower looks a little lopsided, so I'm going to zoom in on it. Control spacebar held down, click with the mouse. That's Command spacebar with a Macintosh. And let's just paint a little bit right there. And we can go ahead and actually physically paint some black. Click over to here on this side instead of on the mask, and we can add a little paint to it if we want. Let's add a layer above this and just click new layer icon, and now let's paint a little bit right here. And let's turn on the eraser, press the letter E, and you can kind of go around that, get it in the shape that you want it in. Let's zoom out, Control minus. And it's up to you what kind of shape that you want it to have. It could even be a lollipop that he's going after. So round those edges out, make them nice and smooth. If you see a place, let's go back over here. If whoops, Control Z that, switch the color to white and be over here in the and let's see about painting. oops, with black. And you can go ahead and fill this in. If you don't like that ripple in his hat, you think it would look better if it were all rounded, which I kind of do. I like to use a big brush to fill that gap in. Let's try this. Let's go up here to the layer above it and do that again. Okay. I like to really make those edges nice and smooth. Come down in here, smooth that like that. And let's go up here to the top of the bill, make it even bigger. And kind of hit this and hit right there again. Now let's zoom out. Not bad. Now let's go down to the bottom of the layers palette. We don't need anything but these top two layers right now. Actually, let's collapse layer 2 with the layer underneath it. Let's just do a Control or a Command on a Mac, Control E, and tell it to apply the layer mask. So now we've got just the layer mask, and we can go ahead and click the trash can on these. So now everything is just on that one layer. Let's click a new layer and let's drag it underneath layer 1. We want to make Control Z a few times. I need to drag this out because I've got the recording areas kind of messing me up here. Now then. Alright, we've got our, and we can call this background as if we don't know that that's the background. Instead of having, we can easily do a bright white background. We've got white over here underneath the black. So if we want to fill with that white right now on the background layer, we'd simply hold down the Control key and hit backspace. And we've filled it with white. Now, I prefer, white's good. White's fine. But sometimes I like a little gray in it, because a lot of the old silhouettes were gray. But the beauty is, that's your call as the artist, whatever color you want to make it. So let's just go click on here and let's click on a gray and just see how it looks. So now the top is the foreground color is gray. So to fill it with that, we hold down the Alt key or Option key on a Mac, hit delete or backspace, and it's filled with that color. And of course we can lighten it up a little bit more. And again, Alt or Option on a Mac. What if we wanted to do something totally different than that? Again. So you can control all of these things, all of the colors. You can even go up to select, and you can actually do, let's see, go to this layer and do an inverse and turn that into white in the background. So anytime you do a Control or Command I, it will inverse. And see, we got a little bit of black right there in the middle. See it right there? So while we're on that layer, let's go to the eraser and let's just zap that out of there. And again, we can still fine-tune the flower or the sucker, whatever it happens to be. Let's paint in a little bit more black. So we turn on the paintbrush, make it a smaller brush size. Gotta have the right color on top, so we just press X to get white up. And that's not what I want to do, I'm sorry. D for black. And so the silhouette here is still very editable, but there are a couple more things really I think that are worth doing to this. For example, what about putting a signature on it? It means a lot more to people when you do, and it makes things look more professional. You deserve it. I mean, it's your piece of art, so do that. The other thing is, and let's get this back to a more traditional look. So I put it back on white, and like I said, a lot of times I like a gray in there. But one of the things I also like to do is click here on the layer that the silhouette is on and go to FX down to where it says drop shadow. Let me bring this up. Run it up too far. And there, you're still not going to be able to see it. So drop shadow, and notice already we have shadow in there. So I'm going to, I can change the direction, or I can just go over here and drag the shadow wherever I want it to be. And I really want this thing to not be over the top. I'm going to spread it a little bit, and I can also control the distance. Let's bring that back up again so I can better see what I've got. Move this out of the way. And let's do less spread. And a little bit more. Alright, so we can build some depth in there. You can put that wherever you want to do it. I think it adds another little step to it. Click OK. And that's pretty much it. I really hope you'll experiment with this and see what you can come up with. They also make great cards. So if you like sending people cards, get well, or something more festive, certainly a silhouette can be very cool. Birds, animals, and so forth make wonderful silhouettes. Alright, give it a try. Please give it a try. And maybe you can send me some of the things that you did so I can see. Talk to you all later. Have a great day.